Every payday, money disappears before you even touch it. And if you don't understand why, you could lose hundreds of thousands of dollars over your working life. Not because you're bad with money, but because no one taught you how the system works. Think about the last time you got paid. You worked all week. Maybe you even stayed late, picked up overtime, or took on extra responsibilities, hoping your next paycheck would give you a little breathing room. Then payday arrived. You opened your banking app, and within seconds, that feeling of excitement disappeared. You looked at the number and thought, I worked this hard, and that's all that's left? If you're in your late 30s or early 40s, this probably feels familiar. You're trying to do everything right. You have a mortgage or rent, car payments, insurance, groceries that seem more expensive every month. Maybe you're raising children. Maybe you're helping aging parents. You're trying to save for retirement, but every month feels like a race just to stay caught up. You earn more than you did 10 years ago, yet somehow money feels tighter than ever. Most people blame themselves. Maybe I spend too much. Maybe I need another side hustle. Maybe I just need a better paying job. Sometimes that's true, but there's another piece of the puzzle that most people never stop to think about. It's not just about how much you earn, it's about how much you actually get to keep. And that's where taxes quietly shape your financial future. Now, this isn't about saying taxes are bad. Taxes help fund public services we all rely on. But if you never learn how taxes affect your paycheck, your savings, and your investments, you may work harder every year without making the financial progress you expected. Let me show you what I mean. 2 years ago, it was a Friday afternoon. David had just finished one of the busiest weeks of his career. His company had landed a huge contract, and everyone on the team received a performance bonus. Driving home, he was already planning what to do with the extra money. Maybe finally replace the washing machine that kept breaking. Put a little more toward the mortgage. Take the family away for a weekend before the kids went back to school. He pulled into the driveway with a smile. After dinner, he sat at the kitchen table with his laptop. His wife walked in carrying 2 cups of coffee. She smiled and asked, "So, did the bonus come in?" David nodded. It just did. He logged into his online banking. There it was, his paycheck, his bonus. Everything looked great, until he opened the pay statement. His smile slowly disappeared. He leaned closer to the screen. I'm thinking, where did the rest of it go? He scrolled through the deductions. Federal income tax, state or provincial tax, payroll deductions, retirement contributions, Social Security or CPP, Medicare or employment insurance. One deduction after another. His shoulders dropped. He rubbed his forehead and quietly laughed to himself, not because anything was funny, but because he couldn't believe how much of his bonus disappeared before it even reached his account. His wife looked over and asked, "So, is everything okay?" David turned the screen toward her. "I thought this bonus was going to change our month." She looked at the numbers for a few seconds before saying, "I didn't realize we lost that much before we even got paid." Neither of them were angry. They were surprised. Because like millions of hardworking people across the United States and Canada, they'd spent years focusing on earning more money, without ever learning how much of that money they were actually keeping. That night, after the kids went to bed, David sat alone in the living room. He couldn't stop thinking, if this happens every payday, how much money has disappeared over the last 15 years? That question changed the way he looked at money forever. Here's what David discovered. The people who build lasting wealth don't just chase bigger paychecks. They pay close attention to what happens after they earn the money. Because earning more is only half of the equation. Keeping more, growing more, and making smarter financial decisions with what remains, that's what creates wealth over time. And once David understood that, he stopped asking one question. How can I make more money? Instead, he started asking a much better one. How can I keep more of the money I already earn? That single shift in thinking completely changed the way he managed his finances. But how do you actually do that without breaking the law or becoming wealthy first? That's exactly what we'll cover in the next part. The next Monday, David did something he'd never done before. Instead of searching online for, how can I make more money? He searched, how do people legally pay less tax? And what he found surprised him. The wealthiest people weren't avoiding taxes, they were planning for them. They understood something most people never learn. It's not just about how much you earn, It's about how much you keep after taxes, fees, inflation, and debt. David realized he'd spent years trying to increase his income, but almost no time learning how to make that income work smarter. That doesn't mean everyone can dramatically reduce their taxes. Your options depend on your income, job, country, and personal circumstances. But many people overlook legal strategies that can improve their long-term financial picture. What wealthy people do differently. They don't wait until tax season to think about taxes. They think about taxes all year. For example, many workers in the US and Canada can reduce taxable income or grow money more efficiently by taking advantage of retirement accounts and other tax-advantaged savings plans available where they live. They also invest for the long term, instead of constantly buying and selling investments, which can create additional taxes and costs. They understand deductions and credits they qualify for. And before making big financial decisions, many talk to a qualified tax professional or financial advisor instead of guessing. But here's the biggest difference. They don't spend every raise they receive. Imagine you get a $500 monthly raise. Many people immediately upgrade their lifestyle. A nicer vehicle, a more expensive vacation, more subscriptions, more monthly payments. Before long, that extra income disappears. Wealthy builders often take a different approach. They let part of that raise build wealth first. Maybe they increase retirement contributions. Maybe they invest regularly in diversified long-term investments. Maybe they pay down high-interest debt. Only after strengthening their finances do they increase their lifestyle. That simple habit can make a huge difference over decades. What you can do today. If you're watching this and thinking, so what should I actually do? Start with these 4 steps. First, look at your next paycheck. Not just the amount deposited. Read every deduction. Understand where your money is going. Awareness is the first step toward better decisions. Second, learn which tax-advantaged accounts are available where you live. In Canada, that might include accounts like a TFSA or RRSP, depending on your goals. In the US, it could include options such as a 401k, IRA, or health savings account if you're eligible. The right choice depends on your situation, so it's worth learning how each works. Third, if you receive a raise, bonus, or tax refund, resist the urge to spend it all. Use at least part of it to reduce high-interest debt, build an emergency fund, or invest for the future. Your future self will thank you. And finally, remember that taxes are only one piece of the puzzle. If you're carrying expensive credit card debt, overspending every month, or not investing for the long term, those habits can have an even bigger impact on your finances. The goal isn't to blame taxes. The goal is to understand every factor that affects your ability to build wealth. David thought his biggest problem was that he wasn't earning enough. But he discovered something much more important. Building wealth isn't just about increasing your income. It's about understanding what happens to your money after you earn it. Because every dollar you keep, every dollar you invest wisely, and every smart financial decision you repeat year after year has the potential to move you closer to financial security. You don't need to know every tax rule. You don't need to become an accountant. You simply need to become more intentional with the money that stays in your hands. That's a habit anyone can start building today. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to the channel. Every week, we break down personal finance, investing, and the money habits that help ordinary people build long-term wealth without hype, get-rich-quick promises, or confusing financial jargon. And remember, it's not just what you earn that shapes your future. It's what you keep, how you use it, and the choices you make with it over time. I'll see you in the next video.